Howdy and welcome. Today we're doing risotto. And risotto is very easy. Look at this, 4 ingredients really that you need to make this. And today I'm going to show you a pea and parmesan risotto. So let's get to it. We're going to jump right in. So you're going to need 2 pans basically, and you can do all this in both. One pan on the left here, it's going to be a little stock pot. I'm going to be adding my chicken stock. You can use beef stock. I prefer chicken stock. What you saw me pour there was my homemade stock. And you're going to bring this just to a rapid boil. And you can see there using my handy ladle, my A&M ladle. Just going to get that to a rolling boil, and you'll see here in a minute. Typically, I would say, and you can look at the recipe, but I would use about 4 cups, maybe 5 cups. I'm going to eyeball it here, but you can get a feel for it as you make more risotto as far as the exact amount. All right, so we got all our stock in there, and let's bring that up to rolling boil. Now, you can kind of be creative. I like to add thyme. Goes really well with Italian-type things. But you can spice this up however you want, or not at all. So we got this boiling now. We're going to use our other pan. And this, on the left here, we're going to keep that stock boiling. Just leave it. We're going to need that. In this pan, we're going to put it over medium-high heat, a little bit higher, depending on your oven. Add some olive oil. Let that come to a pretty hot point. And I like to add butter. You don't have to add butter, but you can, and it just makes it a little more luxurious. Then we need to cut our garlic. So step number 2, let's get that garlic minced. And you want to fine mince. I don't like big chunks of garlic in mine, so get that down as small as you can. And then once our butter has been simmering there for a little bit, we don't want it burning, but browned a little bit, we're going to go with our garlic. Into the bowl, all of that. And again, this is kind of to taste. I'm not all about recipes, so you can use 2 to 3 cloves, whatever you like. Stir that around to get the garlic starting to sizzle. And then we do want to toast the rice. So put the rice in, no liquid yet. And what this is going to do is release some of the starches. And the starch is the important part of risotto. That's what really makes this come out creamy. And even though you're not adding an actual sauce to it, it's going to taste like it. So after about 30 seconds to a minute, we're going to start now to add our stock. So it's going to be a couple of installments you'll see. And this first part, we just want to add the stock enough. I use probably about 4 or 5 good ladles. And we want to bring this to really kind of a soupy consistency, enough that the rice is kind of floating in there. And as you see, I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit on the pan. At this point, we want the risotto pan to be kind of on fire. I mean, we want it pretty hot. So turn it up high. Just keep an eye, because you don't want it, obviously, to burn, but you do want it pretty hot. So here goes our second installment. And this is, the time elapsing here is probably about 5 minutes or so. So it takes a little while. I'm speeding this up for you because you don't want to sit there and watch me stir for 5 minutes. Now, you don't have to constantly stir, actually. I think that's kind of a misperception. You're going to see me stirring here because I'm kind of cutting the segments. But in reality, you just need to stir a couple of times and just let it sit. It's going to reduce down that liquid as it's starting to steam off. You see that steam coming. What that's doing is releasing the starches in the rice, and it's going to start to get thicker. Now you can see on my stove, I've got a couple of hot spots. I'm moving it around here to show you, and I'll point to one here. Right there you can kind of see that's really hot when I pull the pan. So just keep an eye on that. You don't want one spot to just start boiling. You want to kind of be as even as possible. So you can see there I push it forward and it just starts to boil. Keep an eye on that, and that's why I'm stirring a lot on my oven, or on my stove. You might not have to do it on yours. Okay, so here we go with the third installment. Again, total time now is probably about 15 minutes. Give or take. And you'll know it's time to add more stock when you see it start to evaporate and start to be soaked up by the rice. So there we go. We shot forward again. You can see how little liquid is in there now. And this is going to be our 4th and final installment. And I could just pour it all in there. I don't know why I'm scooping it, but again, just want to add probably 3 or 4 ladles. There's no exact measurements. You'll see recipes that call for half a cup. Just do it to what looks good. So this is about 3 minutes after that last installment, and you're going to see I'm tasting along the way, and the rice is going to be a little crunchy at this point, so I know that it's going to need to go just a little bit more. So we let it go, and you can see it starting to get thicker. It's really soupy looking. I'm going to cut the heat and take a taste. Now I can see right away when I scoop that up that this is right there, because what you want to see is that rice start to come together. I can draw a line right down the middle of the pan, and the rice doesn't fill in. It just stays separated. That's exactly what you want. There's also the mound test, which I'm doing right here, where you can stack the rice up into a mound, and that again kind of tells you that it's good to go. Right now it's really creamy, it's really dense. So I cut the heat. Now I'm going to add whatever else you want. Again, this is pea and Parmesan risotto. You can do ham, you can do prosciutto, anything. Get creative here. So I'm just going to stir it in and literally stir it in for probably about 5 or 6 seconds. I mean, you can serve it right out of the pan here. So here we go. Serving it up, and your risotto's done. So total time, probably about 15 minutes. But as you can see, very easy. And the technique, there's not much technique. You just literally need to keep an eye on the heat of the pan, the stock that you're adding in there, to making sure when it's absorbed that you add some more. And, probably about 4 installments you're going to go. And here's our final product, risotto. Get out there and make you some.